A gentle life story for seniors. From age 70 to 100, what to be mindful of, and what must be done. Prologue. Quietly opening my heart. It was a quiet morning, the kind that arrives slowly, like a gentle friend at the door. I sat up in bed and listened. There was no sound, no footsteps, no voices, just the hum of the heater and the creak of the window pane in the sun. I pulled back the curtain slightly, letting sunlight spill across the hardwood floor. That golden light didn't just warm the room, it reached something deeper in me, as if whispering a message I'd nearly forgotten. You've made it. You're still here. I'm 74 years old. Some years felt like storms, others drifted by like clouds. But today, I'm still waking, still breathing, still finding meaning in the smallest things. I once imagined old age would feel heavy, a slow fade, a quiet goodbye. But now that I'm here, it doesn't feel like fading. It feels like settling, like returning to myself after a long journey. There are fewer visitors, the phone rings less, birthdays pass quietly. But in this stillness, I hear something else. My own voice, my own thoughts, my own heart. This is not an ending. It is a returning to softness, to self, to grace. Part 1. Looking back. The life you've lived was never small. They say life is made of moments. Looking back, I see how many I've gathered. Some loud and bright births, weddings, achievements. Others quiet and slow, holding someone's hand, sitting with a cup of tea, smiling at a favorite song on the radio. I remember bringing my daughter home from the hospital, her tiny chest rising and falling as she slept. I was terrified to hold her at first, but fear quickly turned to love so big, I could barely carry it. I remember late nights worrying about bills, wondering how to stretch dinner, the joy of paying off the car, the heartbreak when my husband forgot what day it was, and later, forgot my name. And still, I lived. Through it all, I lived. Back then, I was always in motion. From kitchen to school drop-offs, work, laundry, and late-night birthday cakes. I didn't think about what I wanted. I didn't realize I was building a life. I thought I was just surviving. But now I see it differently. The struggle, the unnoticed acts of care, they weren't distractions from life. They were life. I've never won awards, never been famous, but I mattered. To those who needed me, to those I loved. And now, finally, to myself. Sometimes I open the old photo albums, not the digital ones, the paper kind that smell like time. I flip through photos of messy cakes, damp tents, and sleepy Sundays in flannel pajamas, and I smile, not just because I miss it, though sometimes I do, but because I was there, fully, even if I didn't know it then. Part 2. What to watch out for before the silence becomes loneliness. There's a kind of quiet that comforts, like a warm blanket on a cool morning. But there's another kind, one that creeps in slowly, turning peace into something colder. Loneliness. At first, you don't notice. You think, it's just a slow week, or, they're probably busy. But the calls slow down. The knock at the door comes less. And one day, you realize, your voice is the only one in the house. Loneliness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's the silence when you make tea for one, or the ache when you reach for a second mug. And remember, here's no one to give it to. I used to fill my days easily. Children, work, chores, errands, even chaos was comforting, because it meant I was needed. But now, with fewer dishes and smaller laundry loads, there's too much time once everything is done. Time that stretches wide and quiet. That's the danger. Not aging or slower steps, but your world shrinking, until it's just you and too many empty hours. So what do? We stay open. We reach out, even when it feels awkward. We send the text. We make the call. We ask to meet for coffee, or invite someone over for soup. We don't wait for the world to find us. We step into it gently, one small gesture at a time. And sometimes it starts with a smile at the grocery store, or a good morning to the man walking his dog. It might seem small, but small is not insignificant. Small is how bridges are built. Mind the heart, as much as the body. We all know to watch our blood pressure, take our medicine, move our bodies 7 when they protest. But how often do we check our hearts? Not the physical one, the emotional one. Are you sleeping well? Eating because you're hungry or just to pass time? Have you laughed late Leno at a show, but with someone? Last winter, I didn't want to get out of bed. Not from pain but from numbness. I went through the motion seat, shower, sit. But I wasn't really living. One snowy morning, I looked out at the yard and felt nothing. Not even my usual quiet joy. That's when I knew. This wasn't just tiredness. It was sadness, maybe loneliness, definitely depression. It took courage, but I spoke to my doctor. She listened. She didn't brush it off as just old age. She reminded me, our minds are part of our health too. That day, I promised I'd never ignore that kind of silence again. Routines are anchors. Days feel long when they lack shape. So I gave mine one. Every morning, I open the curtains fully. Even when it's cloudy, even when I want to crawl back into bed, I make my bed. I water my plants. I sip warm lemon water. I write one sentence in my journal. Just one. It's not about being productive. It's about being present. These routines remind me I'm still living. That I have rhythm. A pattern. A life worth tending to. And with each small act, time feels less like it's slipping away, and more like something I'm gently holding. Relationships take courage even now. I lost touch with a dear friend for nearly 15 years. We had a falling out over something so small. I can barely remember. But the silence grew. So did pride. One lonely Sunday, I picked up the phone and dialed her number. I didn't know if it was still hers. But when she answered, my heart leapt. It was her. All I said was, "Hi, it's me. I've missed you." She didn't ask why. She just cried. Since then, we've talked every week. Not because we solved the past, but because we remembered. We still mattered to each other. That's what I wish for you. To know it's never too late. To knock on a heart you once closed. Part 3: What you must do reclaiming your time. There's something sacred about realizing time is finally yours. Not borrowed, not shared, not spent for others, but truly your own. Most of my life, time didn't belong to me. It was for children, deadlines, laundry, groceries, birthdays. It moved fast to fast. By the time I caught my breath, the day was gone. But now, the hours stretch out. Sometimes too long. Sometimes just long enough to ask, what do I want to do today? At first, I didn't know. I had forgotten how to want for myself. It felt selfish, indulgent. But now I know. It's necessary. Find joy in the ordinary. It began with something small. A warm scone. Fresh, golden, and crumbly. I hadn't baked in years. But one rainy Tuesday, I found an old recipe. Handwritten and flour smudged. The kitchen filled with comfort. Butter, cinnamon, and a memory of Sunday mornings. That scone wasn't just food. It was me, returning to myself. Now, I seek little joys. Watering plants while humming. Dancing while doing dishes. Writing letters I may never send. Reading poems aloud to the cat. These won't make headlines, but they fill my days with life. Say what you need to say. There are words I wish I'd said sooner. But age brings clarity, and clarity brings courage. If you love someone, say it. Call them. Tell them the wind reminded you of them. If you hurt someone, apologize. Even if the past feels tangled, a simple "I'm sorry I hurt you" can open a door you thought long closed. And most of all, forgive yourself for the mistakes, the things you didn't know, the days you weren't your best. You don't owe the world perfection. You owe yourself peace. Part 4: The end is not the end, the most peaceful chapter of life. When I was younger, I thought aging meant disappearing. I imagined my world getting smaller, my body weaker, my purpose fading. But now that I'm here, on this golden, tender side of life, I see how wrong I was. Getting older doesn't mean vanishing. It means distilling. It means becoming more of who you truly are. The noise has quieted. The pressure is gone. What remains is essence. I no longer need to impress. I have nothing left to prove. Now, I simply get to be, and being is enough. Let go, and hold close. Now, I hold loosely. I let go of old grudges, worries that never came true, and the need to be perfect. But I hold close what matters: my memories, my values, my grandchildren's laughter, and the scent of my mother's old perfume, still lingering on a scarf. I hold on to morning rituals, evening gratitude, epilogue, a gentle farewell, and a gentle beginning. There's a peace that comes when the world no longer rushes you, when your worth isn't measured by busyness, or your beauty by smooth skin. One evening, I sat by the window. The trees swayed slowly, casting long shadows across the yard. The sun set bold, golden, calm, and I thought, if this is what the end of a day looks like, then I'm not afraid of the end of life, because it isn't an end. Not really. It's a turning, a soft folding into something deeper. If you're reading this now, know your life isn't behind you. It's still with you, within you. Each breath you take, each gentle smile you give, is proof you're still beautifully here. So tomorrow, if you wake, look outside, feel the light, and whisper, today, again, I will live, not just exist, live. And if you don't wake, let it be known, you loved well, you tried, you mattered, because you did, you do, you always will.